Hey everybody, this is Rob Vegas and I'm checking in from Melbourne, Australia, and of course we're back with another awesome episode of Movie Chats, and of course we are continuing on with the theme of Movie Month this October in 2023, and of course we're joined by a very special guest today, which is the Cobra Motor Viper, who's been kind enough to, put aside a bit of his time and join us here on the show because he is a fan of car chases in movies. Now, you've probably seen in the last couple of videos, we've been talking about some movies with Steve McQueen, and of course, when you put those things together, Motor Viper says, we've got to talk about Bullitt, the crime thriller, starring Steve McQueen, of course, from, I believe it was 1969 this came out, and if you haven't seen it, you're in for a wild ride, and there's nothing that we like better than a wild ride. And of course our good friend Motor Viper, when he's not driving his Cobra stun around, he's enjoying some of his favourite car chase movies, so he's a real expert on the topic. Now as I said, Bullitt stars Steve McQueen, Robert Vaughn, Jacqueline Bisset, Don Gordon, Robert Duvall as well, and it was directed by Peter Yates, and it came out in the late 1960s, and this was a massive hit, and like the critics loved it, the audiences loved it, everyone was right on board with this movie. Now it's called Bullitt because Steve McQueen's character, his name is Frank Bullitt. Now, if that's not the most awesome name for a cop or a lieutenant in the police force, then what is? Other than Jake Bullitt, but I think he does traffic control. But that's a story for another day. But anyway, essentially, this is like a sort of crime mystery film. Now, it is famous because of the car chase in it that goes through San Francisco's winding, hilly streets, and that's action-packed, that car chase. But that only is about, about 10 minutes of the movie with the car chase, and it's awesome, like, don't get me wrong. But the rest of the movie is like a sort of slow burn police procedural drama and thriller, where, of course, there's a mobster who's being sent from Chicago to be testifying in a case in the courts in San Francisco to bring down these big mob bosses and stuff like that. And Detective Lieutenant Frank Bullitt, I'm just going to call him Steve McQueen from now on. So Steve McQueen and his team are tasked to look after this witness, and everything sort of goes pear-shaped, and it's up to Steve McQueen to solve the case and bring the crooks to justice. Now, it turns out along the way, of course, the guy who's trying to bring all these criminals to justice is a senator played by Robert Vaughn. Now, you may recall both Robert Vaughn and Steve McQueen starred together in The Magnificent Seven. Well, they're paired up again here, and Robert Vaughn plays this senator who's busting Frank Bullitt, he's busting Steve McQueen's chops to get the case solved and everything like that, as he holds Steve McQueen responsible for some of the actions that happen early on in the film. And of course, there's a race against the clock, as it were, for Steve McQueen to, solve the case for Robert Vaughn's character, and also he finds himself at the business end of a couple of assassins or hitmen or whatever you want to call them, who are trying to track him down and shut him up and everything like that. So this all escalates into a few things. One, of course, is the big car chase, which, if you've ever had to go to San Francisco and walk up and down the streets there, you realise it's pretty damn steep. So they're just flying up and down these hills in these cars. There's Steve McQueen's beautiful dark green Mustang, which features in the car chase, and of course the bad guys, they've got themselves this sinister black Dodge Charger, and these things are massive old school muscle cars, and it's just awesome to watch them tear around the streets in San Francisco. And of course, that's part of the climax of the film, because there is a third act. and this is where all the twists and the mysteries start to unravel and unfold as Steve McQueen gradually ties all of the evidence together and all of the piece of the puzzles and everything like that. And it has another climax with an action-packed set piece at San Francisco airport. And if you've been there in the last 20 years, you'll know it's pretty strict stuff at the airports in North America and pretty strict at airports all around the world. But it's funny to kind of see this time capsule of what air travel was like in the 1960s and how different it is to air travel today. But yeah, you're in for a real treat with Bullitt. Like I said, it is famous for that car chase and the action-packed finale. But you know, in order to get to that, there's a lot of detective work and you know, police procedures, and even a real by-the-book scene in a hospital as well, where you know, there's doctors trying to save a particular patient, and you get to see like a real in-depth look at you know, I guess the bureaucracy and the red tape and stuff that sort of goes on behind the scenes. And another thing to talk about, of course, is the location, as they filmed this for real on location in San Francisco. So everything you're seeing is another time capsule, of course, to use that phrase again, of what things were like in the city back in the 60s. And you get to see wonderful locations, and of course yeah, a killer car chase that highlights them all. So Bullitt, in regards to this film, I'm gonna give it a 3.5. Nah, let's give it a 4. A 4 on the a 4 on the Rob Vegas movie rating scale, as Steve McQueen is cool as cool can be, which is why he was called the King of Cool. So he's an absolute star to watch, so you can't go wrong with him. And of course, yeah, great locations. When it ramps up, the action is really cool and fun. Don't go into this expecting some extravaganza like The Rock with non-stop, you know, blasting and explosions and stuff, as it uses its action very sparingly to help accent and tell the story. But yeah, like I said, you're in for a good time if you like Steve McQueen and you like police movies where, you know, gritty realism is the key, and you like a good car chase. You're in for a great time with this, and I would recommend it. Like I said, 4 out of 5. Let me know in the comments below, of course, if you've seen Bullitt, or if you haven't seen it and you're planning on watching it. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And, you know, leave a big old like and subscribe. And also, in the comments, tell me about your favourite car chases. Is there one out there that the Motor Viper hasn't seen that he really needs to know about? Well, yeah, shout it out loud in the comments below. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video, and stay tuned, and I'll see you soon. Cheers, everybody.
Crystal Ball says like and subscribe and leave a comment.
Yeah, it's raining a bit outside, isn't it?